Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is a catastrophe.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
The floor is yours.
Hour 2, Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, officially working towards the weekend. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Our Wednesday show is brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools, online at builtbyrenaissance.com, builtbyrenaissance.com. You want to get that new pool, home of your dreams, outdoor kitchen, all of it can be yours with the folks at builtbyrenaissance.com. All right, LSU basketball season is over. We'll talk about it in 15 minutes. LSU baseball season, not over. In fact, SEC starts up on Friday from Nashville. Koki Riley covers the Tigers. Joins us on Wednesdays. Koki, how are you?
Doing pretty well. I'm going.
It's going quite well. Let's talk about kind of the disaster of the last week prior to last night. What was the most jarring aspect of LSU dropping 4 or 5 to you?
It's the continued struggles of the offense and the inability to find clear answers for those struggles. I think that it's really weird not to see them hit the ball hard at all against this week's competition, not for one game, but for, 5, 6, 7, even 8 games. And against this level of competition, I mean, if they did this in SEC play, it would be a little concerning. The fact that it happens during non-conference is even more concerning. So that's just kind of where I'm at right now with this team and with this offense. When it comes to just the question that you asked, I think last night was a step forward, but it was still a pretty ugly performance. So you're looking at this team and this weekend is very important for them because, if you don't take advantage of another team that's struggling in the conference, then it's going to be really hard to imagine it's only going to get harder from here. So that's kind of where they're at right now.
When you look at the defense, on the one hand, they're making a ton of errors. On the other hand, the errors are coming on pitcher pickoff throws and from the backup catcher, and I'm struggling with how to reconcile that. How do you feel about the defense, specifically with the errors and what it could mean for them over 30 SEC games?
Yeah, they've had 5 pitcher errors this season, which is a lot. Some of that might be noise because some of their starters are pretty good fielders. Cooper Moore is a good fielder. Casey Evans was a shortstop, so he's a very good fielder. Some of that might be just some noise based on relievers or in the game, and that will even out as the season goes along. Usually they've been pretty decent with the pitcher fielding stuff, so I don't really know why it's happening all of a sudden. There's not really a clear answer for that. It's probably something that we should be asking Jay a little bit more often, honestly. And then for the other stuff, the backup catcher making errors, that's going to happen, especially if it's a freshman. And I thought Omar Cerna had it was a very freshman-y, high tools, a lot to work on sort of performance, right? Because it's a grand slam, 455 feet, and he also had trouble corralling balls in the dirt, dropping balls behind the plate. He threw a ball in the center field and nearly cost him a run. So it was so there was stuff like that happening at the same time. So it's what happens when your number 2 catcher isn't steady, isn't Alex Milazzo. He's not a steady veteran who is going to play good defense and maybe put the ball in play. This is a boomer bust sort of player, and they've liked that at the catcher spot since Jay's been here, and that's kind of what they're riding with.
Koki Riley's our guest, covers the LSU baseball team for The Advocate. You mentioned you thought last night was a step forward. Why did you think last night was a step forward?
They put the ball in play a little bit better than they have in the previous games. Again, this is a terribly low bar that they're passing here, but they still did it. 9 hits, 6 walks. Omar Stern hit a ball 455 feet. Jake Brown homered again. they did a better job of putting consistent traffic on the bases in general. They got lucky with a couple of those runs. Like Jake Brown's grounder was an error that drove in one of the runs. I think it was the second run. The first run came in part because the catcher dropped a really easy pop-up earlier in the at-bat, and then Steve Miles took advantage of it with a single. I just think their quality of contact was a little bit better, and they just did a better job of getting on base and creating more traffic. And, like, if you can do that, you're probably going to score eventually. I just thought they did a much better job of that because that's kind of the key to any offense, and especially this one.
I'm going to ask you a really big picture question here. I don't even know I had plans to do it, but I'm just in the course of our conversation, I'm just kind of thinking about it. Like, do you think this is a team that can win 18 or 19 SEC games and get a top 8 national seed?
I think it's still on the table. I think it's less likely than we thought it was going to be heading into the season.
Yeah.
I don't think their schedule is to the point where it really scares you off of that fact. There's some tough ones in there. There's Georgia on the road. There's Mississippi State on the road. They have A&M. That's a home series, though, so it makes it a little bit more palatable. They don't have the toughest SEC schedule. They avoid Arkansas. I know they struggle, but they avoid them. Tennessee, they get them on the road, but Tennessee doesn't look as powerful as it did last year at the plate.
You miss Texas.
And Texas. Well, you also missed Texas. I was going to get to that. Yeah. So that's the big one. You don't play the best team in the league probably. I think it's on the table still, in part because of the schedule, in part just because of the what's on paper here, the talent of this roster. If they get to 19 or 20 wins, I think they can still be a top 8 seed, even with these non-conference struggles. They probably can't lose more than one more non-conference game for the rest of the season for that to be the case. But I think it's still on the table, especially if they just get one or two of these other teams that either slightly outperform or win their league and just make the tournament. I don't know if this affects their tournament chances too much. If they don't turn this around, if they do turn this around. So obviously they have to turn around. And the most worrying part of this whole thing, and the reason why you're asking this question is because, like, if you're going to struggle this much against this quality of competition, what is it going to look like against Mississippi State on a Saturday, on the road against the number 3 team in the country, a team that has looked great so far this season? That's the worry. And that's very different than 2024, where you struggled the whole time. You went 3-12 in conference play, but it was against a very, very hard schedule. And the schedule gods were not in your favor that year, and you had a young roster anyway. So that made at least a little bit more sense. This makes less sense. And the fact that it makes less sense is what is scary. And they just need guys to start playing to the level that we thought they were capable of heading into the season.
How about the starting pitching staff this weekend against Vanderbilt? How do you feel about those 3 guys and their opportunity to match up with the Doors?
Yeah, they're pretty well matched up against this Vanderbilt offense because it's the few run producers they have are a little bit more susceptible to big stuff guys who can generate swing and miss, et cetera, et cetera. And LSU has that with Casey Evans, even with Cooper Moore, and with William Schmidt as well. So they have they're in a pretty good spot matchup wise when it comes to the starting rotation against Vanderbilt's lineup in particular. And then on the flip side, like, Vanderbilt's got a ton of injuries on the pitching side. I mean, Austin Nye might not be available for this weekend. And even if he is, he might not be 100%. He's one of their top 2 starting pitchers. They have other injuries as well to the bullpen. So they're kind of a wounded duck right now. And matchup-wise, they do. LSU is pretty well paired up with them. So I actually kind of like LSU's spot heading into the series, as crazy as that sounds, given their struggles in non-conference play lately. But the point being, like, if they can't turn around this weekend, things are going to look pretty dire heading into an Oklahoma series where, Oklahoma isn't the most talented team in the conference, but they've played good baseball. They've beaten some good teams, and Cam Johnson is a guy that you had and now looks really good. So that's not going to be an easy matchup on that Friday game. So those 4 games. Like if they go 2-2, then you're kind of holding serve. You kind of feel the way you do right now. If you go 3-1, then you feel pretty darn good and everything's all fixed. But anything less than 2-2, and we could be looking in for a long season.
It's possible. Last question, based on last night and, of course, what we've seen from Guidry for most of his time, do you feel a little bit better about the top guys in the bullpen when they go to Nashville?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel a little bit better about their bullpen if Santiago Garcia can pitch the way he did last night. My one concern, though, and actually this is a pretty big concern, is just like the lack of consistency they've gotten from some of these guys lately, where it's like Devin Sheeran's great one day, he's really struggles the next, and now he's good again for his next outing, right? Ethan Plog struggled last night after looking really good for 2 or 3 straight outings. This team, I'm not saying they have to have Griffin Herring or Jason Evans or Zach Cowan, but it'd be nice to have one of those sort of guys in your bullpen who has like a 1 ERA halfway through conference play. They might not have that guy this year. Instead, it'll be more of, matchups and trying to see which hand is hot and which guy's throwing strikes that day. And you're going to have a bunch of guys with an ERA like hovering around 3. That's what most teams have, but that's not what LSU's done lately, and that's done lately with their bullpen. So you'd like to have one of those shut down top of the conference arms. You thought you kind of had that in Zach Cowan. Right now, you don't really have that. So I think that's the thing that I kind of want to keep an eye on for the bullpen moving forward.
We shall see. Safe travels up to Nashville. We'll talk next week, Koki.
Awesome. Thanks so much, hon.
Koki Riley with the Advocate covering the LSU baseball squad. He comes to us on Wednesdays. All right, body's cold enough now. Let's do the autopsy on what we just watched for 5 months to LSU basketball. And probably more importantly, what about the next 5 days? We'll talk about it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
It's Colon Cancer Awareness Month. Why is that important? Well, colon cancer is a very, very common form of cancer, but it's preventable and treatable when it's caught early, and screening can detect precancerous polyps before they turn into cancer. So adults beginning at age 45 or anyone with a family history of colon cancer, maybe a little bit earlier, get those scans. Friends at Oxnard want you to be available to do that. Colonoscopy remains the gold standard of screening, but those that are low risk can potentially do some things at home as well. Having an established relationship with your primary care provider makes all the difference, and they can guide you to the right screenings at the right time, including when it's appropriate to schedule that colonoscopy. So make an appointment with Oxnard Health and a primary care provider or a gastrointestinal specialist to start that conversation. Ask about your personal risk. Early detection can save lives. Schedule an appointment, oxnard.org/schedule. or through the My Oxnard app. That's oxnard.org/schedule.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Lunch with my friends at Gotros Outdoor Power. Gotros Outdoor Power coming your way later on this month. Mower Madness, March 23rd through the 28th. On Friday the 27th, in the middle of that window, there will be an open house over at Gotros Outdoor Power with food and giveaways. Everything is going to be on sale through the entire week. It's going to be the best prices they have all year over at Gotros. They'll have some giveaways, and we'll give you more information as things get a little bit closer. But mark your calendars. You're looking for a new zero-turn mower, looking for a new hustler, Gotros is the place you need to be March 23rd through the 28th, especially Friday the 27th at Mower Madness. So I want to remind you about Gotros. They have those 2 locations in Baton Rouge and in Gonzales as well. Largest hustler inventory in the state of Louisiana. And the customer service you're going to get is second to none over at Gotros. They got trucks running all day, 8 hours a day. Don't have a trailer? No big deal. They can get your equipment to you. Need parts delivered? They got that as well. Gotros Outdoor Power. Gotros Outdoor Power. All right, LSU falls to Kentucky in Nashville. Their season is over. So what does it mean? Well, this was the year we all understood that this program needed to take a step forward. I know that there's a massive faction of y'all that are so over this conversation. I know. But it's important. This is an important thing with LSU athletics. Continuing to be the bottom of the barrel in men's basketball is unacceptable. And you're the bottom of the barrel. You're the 16 seed in the conference tournament, and you're out in the first game. And this year was important. Now, there is depth to this conversation. Whether you like that or not, it doesn't change the fact that there is. And you got to weigh everything. First of all, the product on the floor. You put together a team with a significant financial investment, and that team finished last. I was looking at some of LSU's stats, and these are fluid as a lot of games get played, but you get the picture. LSU this year, in opponent point per game, was 272nd in the country. LSU in free throws allowed was 260th in the country. LSU in three-point defense was 286th in the country. Opponent field goal attempts per game, 312th in the country. Opponent free throw attempts per game, 311th in the country. You were just not guarding anybody for 4 months. And while losing Jalen Reed and De'Don Thomas doesn't help that, it was not the reason why you could not defend. You did not defend because you put a bunch of guys on the floor that were not good defenders. And the team was built on its offense, and the offense buckled a little bit when De'Don Thomas went out. Unquestionably, that's a bad break for Matt McMahon. But you look at the overall record, and now that the dust has settled on this season, you're talking about a program that is 60-70 in his 4 years, and in conference play, 17-55. 17-55, that's 72 games, so you've won 17 of 72. You're winning at a 24% clip in league play. 24%. I do believe Matt McMahon's a good basketball coach. I do not believe for 1 second that Matt McMahon got this job, quote unquote, just because he got Ja Morant. That's just not right. Ja Morant was a huge piece in his maintaining the standard at Murray State, but Ja Morant was only there for 2 years. Matt McMahon coached there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He coached there 7 years. The first year he had Ja Morant, he was a freshman who weighed 150 pounds and averaged 13 points per game. Now, the second year he had him, they went 28-5 and made the NCAA tournament. That was a big deal. But then Ja Morant left, and Matt McMahon went 23-9, and then they had the COVID year, and then he went 31-3 2 years after Ja Morant left. Beat Todd Golden in the tournament. Oh, by the way, before Ja Morant got there, 26-6 without Ja Morant ever setting foot on campus. Like, he did a good job at Murray State, well beyond the Ja Morant situation, which was a good thing for him to pull into his program. Credit to him for going to get the guy. But it's not like he built the whole thing on Ja Morant's back. And then he came here and had an adverse set of circumstances and did not even come close to overcoming the adverse circumstances. And so if you ask me my opinion on LSU basketball moving forward, I think it's in LSU's best interest to change course. Now, I say that with a couple things in mind. I just believe it in this era to be so important to create momentum in your program. And when you lose it, it's really, really, really hard to get it. And what Matt McMahon would need with another year would be to light a spark out of nowhere with a fan base that has turned out the lights. I haven't talked any basketball really for 4 weeks. Trust me, it breaks my heart to do that. But no one cares. Look at the Assembly Center. I see the clicks on LouisianaSports.net. I know what happens around here when basketball loses 5 of its first 8 in league play. In this case, it was worse than that. But I know what happens. And now, in this day and age, you can't just go recruit. You got to go recruit with a sack full of cash. Where's the cash going to come from? You're telling me you're going to shake the booster limbs and get a significant investment for a coach that's winning at a 24% clip? I just don't see that happening. I will say this, and you can roll your eyes, and that is completely fine. This is my opinion, and it will never be validated. But I believe if you gave Matt McMahon $10 million a year in an NIL and rev share for the next 5 years, that LSU would have a competitive basketball program. In the same breath, there is no freaking shot that he would get it. That is my reasoning for going to start something new. I like Matt McMahon a ton. You hear that all the time. I've had a great working relationship with him. He's come on this show. I've interviewed him on my pregame show. He's a great guy, and I think he's a pretty good basketball coach. And I think someone will hire him, and I think he'll probably win a lot of games. This is a hard job. Trent Johnson couldn't do it. Johnny Jones couldn't do it. Matt McMahon hasn't done it. John Brady did it pretty well. Will Wade's the only guy in the last 15 years that has cracked this code. It's hard. And it's different now than it ever was. And on this campus, when you are quite literally playing fourth fiddle at best, maybe fifth, and certainly you're the third biggest draw in your own arena, it is a hard, hard job. And you got to get somebody that's going to succeed in the adverse circumstances early on. This hasn't done it. And it's just very difficult to look at this and to look at a conference record that is consistently at the bottom, and it quite literally is the worst in the league over the course of the last 4 years. That's just, it's just difficult to survive. And here's the next point. We're not talking about Matt McMahon anymore from here on out in this segment. I believe, as I said yesterday, we will have our answer within a week. I believe we should have our answer by Monday, because this is not new. The fact that LSU is the 16 seed in the tournament, that they're out before lunch on Wednesday of the SEC tournament and had no realistic chance at all in the month of February and March to make the NCAA tournament, has indicated that this decision has to be made. Not that they have to decide to fire him. They have to decide what they're going to do. There was no basketball-related event that could have happened in February and March that would have changed the circumstances here. So either the money people have decided they're going to spend the money, or LSU has decided as administration and as a booster base and a fan base, they're punting on men's basketball. Those are the two options. And now the decision's upon us. So I believe by the time I hit the air on Monday at 1, we will know if Matt McMahon's coaching the basketball team next year. I don't see a scenario where it's got to take time. They don't have to do it right now. Team's got to take a shower and go back to the hotel. And my guess is they may spend the night in Nashville tonight and then fly back tomorrow. It's spring break. They don't have to be here for class. They're probably going to spend another night in Nashville, if I had to guess. Maybe they've got a charter plane that's ready to go, and they had the plan they're going to lose Kentucky anyway and just fly on back. Either way, either let the guys get back to campus tonight, let the guys get back to campus tomorrow, let everybody settle down for the college basketball will play on this weekend. Selection Sunday happens on Sunday, and perhaps if you want to bury a news story, you can bury it at 5 p.m. on Sunday when they're throwing the brackets out there. You can do that. But I think by Monday, maybe Monday morning, if nothing's happened, LSU's going to keep Matt McMahon. If something has, you'll know. Again, this is not me reporting. This is me speculating. But I just don't see a reason why you would determine to let Matt McMahon know he's being let go next Wednesday. Like, I don't think that takes a week. You either have the money and the interest to do it, or you don't. And that you know right now at 2:30 on Wednesday. LSU's been off the basketball court for an hour. You know. So make the call or don't. But that, I believe that's going to be a very, very quick thing that happens. Not rushed so that these guys find out while they're still in Nashville. That's not necessary. Can't go recruiting right now. New coach is not being hired. Walk to the podium on Friday, okay? So there's no rush this afternoon. But this weekend, let's make a call. Send out a release saying he's back. Send out a release saying he's been let go. And let's move on. I think that's all it takes. So that's basketball talk for you. We'll come back with SEC baseball power rankings. Where are the Tigers after losing 4 or 5 last week? We'll talk about it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC, FabryChevrolet.com, FabryChevrolet.com. Trucks. Want a new truck? Fabry Chevrolet GMC is where you need to go. $13,000 off GMC Sierras. 0.0 APR financing. Looking for a Chevy Silverado? Up to $11,000 off MSRP. Looking for financing there? 1.9%. Those are just incredible deals on trucks over at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. So if you're looking for a new truck, go to the website, FabryChevrolet.com. Check out that inventory. You'll see the great deals. Want to make that purchase? Go to Highway 61 in St. Francisville and make it happen. They also got great SUVs, Chevy Tahoes, GMC Yukons, GMC Denali's. Looking for a Yukon, looking for a Denali, looking for a truck. Fabry Chevrolet GMC, Highway 61 in St. Francisville. Also want to remind you, they service all makes in the service department as well. It's Fabry Chevrolet GMC on Highway 61 in St. Francisville, online at FabryChevrolet.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Later, my friends, the Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com. That's HighlandIG.com. Jonathan Carbo and his team are phenomenal folks to work with in the insurance game. I tell you all the time about their property and casualty department, which is great. If you're looking for commercial property and casualty insurance, they got you, the Highland Insurance Group. But they also do group and employee benefits. And if you've had a rough renewal this year, had a rough renewal last year, and are dreading the one to come because you've got a carrier that continues to bring rates up, that's not uncommon. The Highland Insurance Group has seen that with some of their new clients because they switched over from that said carrier to the Howland Insurance Group. I know how important that group and employee benefits are. You do as well. If you're a business owner, if you're CFO, and you realize how important it is to acquire new talent and to keep talent because you've got great benefits that people want to have when they come work for you. Let the Howland Insurance Group take care of it for you. They will absolutely do it. Jonathan Carbo and his team are phenomenal on that side of the building as well. So reach out if you got a renewal coming and you're dreading it, want a second set of eyes, want a second carrier potentially. The Howland Insurance Group can help you out with that. They're online at HighlandIG.com. All right, let's do some SEC baseball power rankings.
Hunt's SEC Power Rankings. The Texas Longhorns.
No reason to move Texas from the top spot. They hadn't lost yet. They're 16-0. The rotation looks phenomenal. They're swinging the bats exceptionally well as well. This looks like a really, really complete team that Jim Schlossnagle has built over there in Austin. Horns are 16-0. They're number 1 in the power rankings.
The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
I moved Mississippi State up to this 2 spot. That's where I had LSU. Tigers take a tumble. State's 15-2. Their 2 losses are to really good teams right there at the end of ball games. They lead the SEC in doubles, which I really like. I think their rotation is very, very talented. They're going to hit. They were on the ropes last night against Tulane, but found a way to get it done over there in Biloxi. I like State. Got them at number 2.
The Auburn Tigers.
I moved Auburn up to the number 3 spot from 5th. That's a 2-spot improvement. They're 14-2. Jake Marciano, their ace. 35 strikeouts to 1 walk thus far this year. Only allowed 4 extra base hits in 22 innings pitched. He's not a flamethrower, but he's a good pitcher. Bush Thompson knows how to find those guys. I think their young offense is going to hit. They've won a lot of games. I like Auburn. I've got them at 3rd.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Hogs have not played well. They have not played well. But I'm just looking at that rotation. I'm looking at Gackle. I'm looking at Dietz. I'm looking at Fisher. I know the talent that they've got on that roster year in and year out. I'm just going to bet on Van Horn here. Even though they've lost 5 games to this point, I left him at 4. I didn't move him up or down. I just left him right there at 4.
Texas A&M!
Move the Aggies up 3 spots here. That's a big mover for this week. They're up to number 5. They're 15-1. Grahovic's hitting the ball very, very well. They've had some injury, bad luck with Caden Sorrell, but he's out back now. Shane Sadeo's done a good job on Friday night for them. I don't think Michael Early's a good coach, but he's got a talented roster, and so I've got the Aggies at number 5.
The LSU Tigers.
Moved LSU down from 2 to 6 to this point. Did you realize they lead the SEC in strikeouts by pitchers? I think their weekend rotation is good, and I do think they're going to hit a little bit. The defense is concerning in spots. and the consistent poor play is concerning. But I'm not sending them in free fall just yet. Let me see an SEC week with these 3 starters, see what I think about that. LSU is at 6.
The Oklahoma Sooners.
Cam Johnson, LJ Mercurius, good 1-2 punch at the top of that rotation. Sooners are playing winning baseball. They're 14-2 to this point. I've got them in the same spot they were last week at number 7.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
Move the Rebels up 1 spot to 8. I think they've got as good a 1-2 as there may be in the SEC. I love Hunter Elliott, and Townsend's been excellent as well. The home run ball is real for the Rebs. Only Georgia has hit more in SEC teams. They strike out a lot. They hit a lot of homers. They're going to be tough to beat at their home ballpark. I like Ole Miss. I got them at number 8.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
Georgia finally stumbled a little bit. They've lost 3 games now. They've got a Volsko, the Stanford transfer, in there, the Friday night guy who throws really hard, and they're going to hit home runs in that ballpark no matter what. But the schedule's been so bad. Again, I can't do much with them. So moved them up 2 spots to 9th, but still not over the moon with Georgia.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
Kentucky has hit 15 homers in 17 games against substandard competition. That's last in the SEC. I do like the talent at the top of the rotation. That's a little bit of a change of pace, but teams that don't slug, I just have an issue with. I tell you that every year at this time. So got Kentucky at 10. That's 2 spots up from 12, but they're at 10.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Tennessee falls a spot. They're not hitting. And that's Josh Elander's baby to an extent. It's concerning. They've got some talent in the rotation. Tegan Coons, Mack on Saturdays is very good, but they're not hitting. So I've got Tennessee down at number 11.
The Florida Gators.
This is the biggest mover of the week. LSU did move 4 spots down. Florida moves back 6 spots. Bad week against High Point. Should have gotten swept. Their 2 starters, which is the backbone of the team, Liam Peterson and Aiden King, were not very good over the weekend against High Point. When that doesn't happen, they're not very good. There are some talented dudes that can hit the ball out of the ballpark, but it's not a vintage Sully team. And when they don't pitch, they don't win. That's why I moved them back to number 12.
The Vanderbilt Commodores.
Here's LSU's opponent this weekend. They dropped another game this weekend. They're 11-7 on the season. They've got a big-time pitching injury that could hurt them significantly. They do hit a lot of home runs. That's a change for Vanderbilt, but they're not super productive beyond that, and their pitching hasn't been good enough. So Vanderbilt's down at number 13.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
Good 1-2 punch here for the Tide, and they're 15-3, which is certainly a lot better than Vanderbilt's 11-7, but they haven't played as tough a schedule. Just not wild about this Bama team composition-wise in terms of the talent. I've watched them play big parts of 3 games, and it's a small sample size, but that's what I got at this point in the calendar. I'll put Alabama down at 14.
The Missouri Tigers.
Missouri moves up a spot. How about you, Mizzou? They swept over the weekend. They're 15-2. How about you? I don't think they're very good at all, and they're probably not going to win 8 league games. But they moved out of the cellar, so good for you, Missouri.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
Not good for you, Coach Maneri. They lose over the weekend, this past midweek to the Citadel. They're fielding worse than LSU. They're 15th in the league in batting average. They are not good, and they are now 16th in the league by my estimation, and I think they will probably beat over Missouri at one point, but right now I got to put 15-2 Missouri in front of them. So that's my power rankings at this point. Instead of going through them 116, I'll tell you who LSU plays in the 10 and who they miss. LSU will play Mississippi State, who's number 2. They will play A&M, who's number 5. But LSU does not play Texas, number 1. Does not play Auburn, number 3. Does not play Arkansas, number 4. And LSU is number 6. So you catch a break at the top there. And then you look down. You do play Oklahoma, who has got 7, Ole Miss at 8, Georgia at 9, Kentucky at 10, Tennessee at 11, Florida at 12, Vandy at 13. So you play 7 through 13. You miss Alabama, who's 14th. You miss Missouri, who's 15th, but you catch the worst team in the league in South Carolina there. So not a brutal schedule. You're missing some of the teams really at the top. Texas and Arkansas not being on the schedule. And for me, not facing Marciano, who's at Auburn, is a big deal as well. So toughest game weekend on the schedule is Mississippi State on the road. The other toughest road game road series LSU plays, is the 8th place team in Ole Miss, because you play Oklahoma at home and A&M at home. So that's a look at the power rankings. We'll continue to update those weekly as we move forward here on our show. When we come back, we'll close things out, get you an update from the SEC basketball tournament. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Renaissance Homes and Pools. I'm struggling, y'all, with another frog in my throat. Just one of those weeks where you're just struggling. So instead of making a phone call, why don't you text? Text Joey Blanchard. He's the owner at Renaissance Homes and Pools. He can help you out, 225-252-7745. Looking to get into the pool of your dreams? He can do it. No matter how big, no matter how small, Joey can help you get into that pool. Looking for a resort-style pool because you got 6 kids? Get after it. Looking for a cocktail pool because it's retirement stage for you? You can do that as well. Want that outdoor kitchen for entertaining? Joey can help you out with that over at Renaissance Homes and Pools as well. And he wanted me to remind y'all, as I do every single week, that if you're looking to get in your forever home and you're looking for a builder and you're looking for bids, Joey's happy to jump in the mix. He's done it for dozens of families around Baton Rouge, and he's happy to help you with it. Again, shoot him a text. Say, hey, I'd like to talk about a pool. I'd like to talk about an outdoor kitchen. I'd like to talk about a new home. Joey's happy to get back to you. 225-252-7745. They're online at builtbyrenaissance.com. Builtbyrenaissance.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
You're checking in and missed LSU's basketball game in the SEC tournament. LSU lost by 5, 87-82 the final. The 16-seed Tigers headed home. Their season is over. See what the next 5 or 6 days hold for LSU basketball, but no more games this edition of the Tigers. They shoot 50% in a losing effort against Kentucky, but giving up 87, hard to win, and they certainly did not on this day. So that puts a bow on basketball for the 2025-2026 season.
Do you feel that even though every day, it got real depressing towards the end, but do you feel like the kids didn't quit on the season, though? Like they didn't quit on the
No, they didn't quit. I mean, McKinnon scored 28 today.
Okay.
You got guys logging significant minutes. Jalen Reese was supposed to be a backup on this team. He plays 38 minutes today. This is out 7 assists, 1 turnover, playing against a $20 million roster.
$20 million.
They went to triple overtime in the season finale against Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I mean, against A&M, who's a tournament team.
So they're trying.
They're trying. They just were bad defensively and never made a ton of massive adjustments. Like, they played ball screens a little bit differently. They played a couple different rotations. Tamba played a little bit more. And, look, Robert Miller's your best defender, and he was unavailable today for a violation of team rules. It just was not a good team. It was not a good team. I still stand by my takes in December and early January where it does mean something that they crushed SMU. It does mean something that they crushed DePaul. It does mean something that they crushed all of those teams that they had let hang around for 4 years when they weren't very good.
Yeah.
They crushed these teams. When they're at Boston College, they went up on the road and won. Not that Boston College was good. In fact, they were bad. But, they did some things decently and with Deidon Thomas, and they didn't have him. I think with Deidon Thomas, they're a 5-12 team, and that's not good enough. They had to get to 8 or 9, and they weren't close. So it is what it is.
It is, but at the same time, it's you want better for the whole program. So it's like, what is the necessary steps at this point? Because
money.
Exactly. We already know football, baseball,
money,
women's basketball. They don't fit into the pie.
Just got to make a bigger pie. I mean, it just is what it is, and that's the part that's like that people are so willing. 'Cause I guarantee you, there are people driving around. And I'm not telling you that they're wrong, but I'm just my observation is people are driving around listening to me going, just pay the buyout. It's in installments. And it's like, that's not your money.
Yeah.
And it's not your money to go hire the new coach, and it's not your money to go buy the new players. Like, unless it is your money and you want to say that, but like if you're just Joe fan saying, yeah, just spend the $20 million, who cares? Like it's a lot of money. I'm fascinated by how willing people are to spend other people's money.
Yeah.
I want that building back rocking. I want to be as good as Bama is. I want to be as good as Bruce Pearl had Auburn. I want to be as good as Tennessee. I want to be as good as Florida. These are football-first schools that aren't Kentucky that have put together a great basketball program, and LSU's isn't. And so I'd like to do that. I don't have the cash. I can't make it happen.
Yeah, man, and that's money rules the world. That's the only way. Well, we can say that. Then again, you could be a Kentucky, $20 million, and look how they look.
They're in the tournament at least.
That's true. Take it or leave it. Let's get it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, yesterday was on fire.
It was.
Obviously, we're going to talk about the Max Crosby thing. It's only right. So in a shocking development, the Las Vegas Raiders announced that the Baltimore Ravens have backed out of their agreement to trade for Max Crosby. They'll have no other further comment at the time. Crosby went into the Ravens facility yesterday to, do his physical and whatnot, and the organization decided that his physical was not good enough and that they wanted to get out of the trade. So do you believe that this is solely because of the physical? There's a little funny business going on. Take it or leave it.
It's funny business. I'll take that. They got Trey Hendrickson on the hook, and they didn't have to give up draft picks for it. Now, you want to determine whether or not that's ethical or whether that's against the rules or not or in the spirit of the game. It's up for discussion. I don't know how often physicals are thought of as failing, but when you got a guy coming off a knee injury, then you know what's coming at that point, and the doctors had vouched for him. But I think they still continue to look at Trey Henderson. And look, the general manager is going to look at it and say, my job's not to make sure that the Raiders are in good standing. My job is to put the best team on the field I can. And to do that, I can get Trey Henderson and keep the 2 first-round draft picks. That's what I'm going to do. Whether that's ethical or not, I'll have the discussion.
Yeah, and it's funny because I saw a comment. Dude was like, if somebody did that in your fantasy football league, they're getting kicked out the league immediately. Yeah. So I get it. Your job is not to make sure the Raiders are whatever they got going on. But does this not ruin your credibility around the league? Now other teams don't want to do business with the Raiders, knowing that they're moving like this.
With the Ravens, yeah. I mean, I think it's reasonable. I think we'll see.
I guess not, because they just got Trey Hendrickson. So Trey Hendrickson, let's talk about this. Going from a divisional opponent with the Bengals, signing a 4-year, $112 million contract with the Baltimore Ravens. Take it or leave it that the Bengals messed up by letting Henderson walk out the door.
I'll take it. They spent too much money at wide receiver, and now their division's got T.J. Watt, Trey Hendrickson, and Myles Garrett in it, which is not what you're looking for if you're trying to win games in Cincinnati and your quarterback gets hurt every year. So that's not great.
All right, so NBA history was made last night. Bam Adebayo dropped, I can't believe this, 83 points, surpassing Kobe Bryant's previous 81 points as the single most points scored in the NBA game. He shot 20 for 43 from the field, 7 of 22 from 3, and 36 of 43 from the free throw line. Yes, the most in NBA history. So a lot of people are trying to discredit this, saying that, he shot too many free throws. So take it or leave it. Too many free throws to pass up Kobe Bryant.
Take it. I did not see the game. I've not seen anyone break it down. I'm in the woods on this one a little bit, other than I knew it happened last night. I was watching the World Baseball Classic, and I'm watching baseball and writing stories, and I'm getting my show together today. So I just didn't spend a lot of time on this.
It's the Wizards versus the Heat. You're not missing
They
nothing.
compromised the integrity of the game, right, by just fouling early in shot clocks to make sure
that are intentionally fouling at the end of the game.
So that the game. So that's
they were up 20, by the way.
That's 20. Just not. I have no use for that.
So Eric Spoelstra, guess what? This is what he said. This is what he said. So he was like, once he got to 60, he was like, there was no way I was taking him out the game. Like, we were going to try and push for history. So once he passed up Kobe, he was like, all right, then we're going to stop fouling. But the coach, Eric Spoelstra, he fully endorsed it. Like, we're going to foul.
Ridiculous.
We're going to try to get him this record.
That's ridiculous.
You're not feeling
That's not in the spirit of the game.
Yeah, not at all.
I mean,
they're killing the Wizards.
I can set the receptions record if I just run a jet sweep on every play and toss it to him. I can have a guy get 70 catches a game if I need to. I mean, it's just not realistic. And Bam Adebayo, who can't shoot, is not
83
it's
points.
Just ridiculous.
Guess what, Hunt? He is the.
Do we feel like we accomplished anything? We fouled to stop the clock so that he could shoot more and score. Like, what do we accomplish here? We didn't accomplish anything. There's no sort of incredible feat that a guy went to the free throw line and shot, 80% from the stripe?
36 or 43.
It'd be one thing if he made 60 free throws, and I'd be like, oh, my God, he went 60 for 60. There was nothing accomplished of note here. They just compromised the flow of the game so a guy could – it was like a video game. This is what you do in video games.
No, it definitely was some video game type of activity. But tell me this. Will this be remembered, though?
Yeah, it'll be remembered as a joke.
Okay.
It'll be remembered as a joke.
Remembered as a joke.
Kobe was hitting jumpers, hitting threes, going nuts. This is a joke.
Against the Wizards. And they were up by 20 points in the fourth quarter. But that's it for Take It or Leave It.
All right, that's it for Take It or Leave It here on this Wednesday. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Reminder, Joey Blanchard and the crew over there at Renaissance, online at builtbyrenaissance.com. Builtbyrenaissance.com. Opened the show talking LSU and Creighton. Tigers win it 8-4 last night. My thoughts on it, both positively and negatively. We talked a little Saints as they signed Caden Ellis. You can find that at Hunt on Saints. A little LSU baseball with Koki Riley. Some LSU basketball as their season is over as well. So if you missed any of it, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Just search Hunt Palmer Show. Like, subscribe, rate, and review. We always appreciate that very, very much. Got a big show tomorrow with Joe Healy and Chris Blair talking some baseball. Matt's going to drive you home next one after further review. We're back tomorrow. The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
First American Bank and Trust. First American Bank and Trust. Cranked things up in 1910. 1910. That was a minute ago. 116 years if we're counting. And they're still rocking and rolling. They've grown to 25 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana. So if you think about just being a local bank, it's true because they are local. They're right here in Southeast Louisiana. That's where all their locations are. But that does not mean they don't have the resources to handle your commercial loan, your personal loan. 25 locations will do that. So if you're looking for a bank with a community feel and the resources that you need, First American Bank and Trust needs to be where you stop in. You can do that in St. Tammany and Tangipahoa, over in Lafourche, Terrebonne, Hammond, East Baton Rouge. First American Bank and Trust. They can make it work for you. All decisions are made locally in Southeast Louisiana. All decisions. So if you're looking for a commercial loan, you're looking for a personal loan, First American Bank and Trust needs to be where you go. 25 locations in South Louisiana. It's First American Bank and Trust.